Welcome to this episode of SDR News Live. I'm Andy McCaskey, and joined once again, special guest from New Zealand, Mr. Ben Kepps. And Ben, I have to first of all say congratulations on your new assignment and new venture with Forbes magazine.
Sure, thanks, Andy, and it's great to be here again. A little while ago, Forbes contacted me asking me to write for them, covering cloud and more generally enterprise IT, and it's great. Forbes got an awesome readership. I've read them for a long time, so it's a great opportunity. I'm stoked.
Well, indeed, and the thing that caught my attention was a recent post you had that kind of asked the question: can Google be trusted as a cloud infrastructure provider? And it sounds like you must have been a Google Reader user at some point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. So the post was kind of motivated by an interview with one of the executives from the Google Cloud Platform, and in the interview, there's some question about what he said. But basically, the question was that Google changes things fairly regularly, and we can't guarantee that the Google Cloud platform will exist at all or in its current form into the future. And that's a real concern for potential customers. I mean, clearly we've all gone through the Google Reader shutdown, which was a pretty painful situation for people. But Google Reader is a standalone application. The Google Cloud Platform is being sold as an important enterprise-ready cloud platform in the ilk of Amazon Web Services or VMware's vCloud Hybrid Services, and I think it shows a real immaturity on the part of Google to be so flippant about what's important to enterprises, long-term longevity of a platform.
Well, that was exactly the word that came to my mind. It wasn't not only what was said, but kind of how it was said that you and I think a number of other commentators said really was reflective of an attitude that doesn't serve them well from an enterprise perspective.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think, since its founding, Google has been a company that, to the credit, has done things differently. And they're an amazing company, and they've had some amazing successes. But the reality is that when you're selling to enterprise IT, sorry, but you can't do everything differently. There's some things that have to be done the same way they've always done. Things like SLAs, things like vendor certainty, things like backwards compatibility and future support for existing platforms. And I think that Google sells itself and, more importantly, its customers short when it doesn't give enough respect to enterprises and to what they really need.
Well, but it's a little bit hard to imagine that a company with a lot of really bright people in the technical sense would not have a greater sense of understanding. It seems like there's still a disconnect here.
Google is legendary for hiring absolutely the smartest people in the world, and it's got some incredible engineers, some incredible scientists on board. It's also reasonably well known for having something of a flippant attitude when it comes to, I guess, the soft parts of business, sales and marketing and support and those sorts of things. And I think that's okay when you're a consumer play that's selling to primarily consumers or maybe SMB customers. But when you want to be an enterprise company, when you want to go up against the SAPs, the Oracles, the Microsofts, you need to play at a similar level of safety, security, robustness, and reliability. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a Google that thinks that it can attack that part of the market on its own terms. And fundamentally, I believe that's a wrong assertion to make.
So if you had, in your article, you talked about really a three-pronged approach, not only the message, but articulating the vision. Is that sufficient, or are there more things that Google will have to bring to the table?
So I think there's a lot of things that need to happen. I mean, Google has in recent months started to engage with the analyst and the commentator community to their credit. I think they need to do more of that, but in my experience, that's been very much sort of an outbound, here's what we're doing, um, we'll keep you up to date. I think that needs to extend, and most enterprise vendors spend a lot of time with analysts really to mine their knowledge and to advise the direction for the future. So there's partly that's it. Part of it is being much more respectful to enterprise in terms of what they need, in terms of support, in terms of ongoing continuity of a platform. They need to get to that level. And the next thing is that, I mean, I know Google culls product on a regular basis, and that's probably an important thing for a company that has such a broad platform. But I think Google needs to differentiate the products that they're trying to sell to enterprise from the ones that are much more consumer plays. If you will, the products where the customer or the user is the product from the products where the customer who's actually buying, who's actually paying for money for something. Is using the product, and I think more and more it needs to tell us differentiate a story across those two product classes.
It sounds like there may be some follow-on articles, but of course, we were talking a little bit before we started recording. This was one of a number of posts. Do you find that you're commenting for Forbes on a whole range of topics, or are you concentrating solely on cloud?
Yeah, I mean, fundamentally, my focus is on how organizations, or how the world is changing, how organizations are having to change given that, and how IT can be an enabler for the change. So it's IT transformation, enabling business transformation. So a lot of time that is cloud, but not necessarily. There's a lot of things that go alongside that, from social to big data to choose any buzzword that you like. But fundamentally, I'm looking at business transformation and technology's part to play in that.
For the remainder of the fourth quarter of this year, what's in tap for travel or for speaking engagements?
Sure. So I'm traveling around a bit. I'll be in Singapore tomorrow, and I'll be in Sydney next week. But next US trips, I'm coming out for Dreamforce, Salesforce event, which I've been coming to now for 4 or 5 years, and that'll be great. And then I'm actually heading to Banff, where I'm keynoting at a pretty interesting summit up there, the Cyber Summit. They'll be talking about the opportunities for non-US geographies and for smaller organizations that these new technologies are bringing about.
Oh, so where would be the best place to keep in touch with your travels and your writings and so forth?
Sure. So probably the best place is to follow me on Twitter. I'm twitter.com, Ben Keeps, BENKEPES, and that kind of aggregates all of my different things, from speaking to writing to conferences I attend.
Well, always a pleasure to talk with you and to keep track of, or try to keep track of your travels. We certainly wish you Godspeed on your trip to Singapore tomorrow. And also, congratulations once again on your work there with Forbes.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy, and always a pleasure to chat.
Okay, thank you. Thanks to you folks as well for joining us here on SDR News.